Hello, everyone. Welcome to Castalgia, episode 3, where we're talking about the golden age of RTSs. Namely, the mid-90s to early 2000s era of RTSs.
Namely, the golden age.
Namely. I'm joined by Mike Davis.
Hello, world.
Josh Davis. And Keenan Calhoun.
Shalom.
So, I have little to... Well, I don't have no experience. I have little experience and little nostalgia for this. But Keenan and Josh... And Mike?
I don't really have nostalgia for it. Because I didn't play them when I was super young. I played it more recently.
Age of Empires?
Yeah. I watched you play it when I was young, but I played it more recently.
Okay, well, then it's mainly going to be headed by Josh and Keenan over here.
Yeah.
So, boys, does either of you want to head it off?
Sure. When I was a kid.
Okay.
When I was a kid, I was going to say young boy, and then I realized I didn't know any of the words to the Black Parade to follow it up with as a funny joke, so...
My father took me into the city
to buy Warcraft 3 Battle Chest at Fred Meyer. And so...
I bought that 8th grade year to play Dota.
Nice.
Anyways, keep on going.
Dota was around when you were in 8th grade?
Yeah, the original Dota, which was just like a Warcraft 3 mod.
Keenan plays Dota too.
Yeah.
Dota was a Warcraft mod?
Yeah.
Wow.
We'll go over.
I'm an OG Dota player,
That makes a lot
except
of
I
sense.
didn't stay with it because it was way too hard. And then I sold my copy of Warcraft 3 to someone else who also quit Dota because it was too hard.
I didn't think there was much of a market for used computer games because everybody puts viruses on their old games.
What? Does people do that?
Is that why?
Is that what your mom told you when you were that age?
Yeah, that's why I couldn't ever get used games at EB Games.
What the fuck?
Tell me a time
Who
where
is your
you have
mom?
bought. Tell me a time where you have bought a computer game used at a game dealer.
It's because they come with product keys that can only be redeemed by one account. It's
You're
not
telling me
not 'cause
nobody
they have viruses
puts
on.
viruses on those
You
games?
can't- They're like
They're not
finalized. You can't write back on
Where
it
did
like
I get all
this.
those viruses?
They're
then?
not rewritable.
Did you have Kazaa or LimeWire?
No.
Okay. Well, okay. What were you saying,
This
Keenan?
is a different discussion for a different day, Josh.
Okay, wait a second. Can we pause this cast? I really need some help with my computer. I've got a lot of viruses.
That's
I
gonna,
thought they all came from my used game.
we got to save this for our nostalgia about computer viruses.
I have a lot of
That's a
stuff.
better topic for an
I do
episode.
wanna-
We should move to that.
I thought you were going to say, we got to save this for our podcast about our nostalgia for adult websites.
I have a lot of nostalgia for those.
Yikes.
Am I right?
NSFW, dude.
What does that mean?
I don't want to. Let's
It
stop.
means new stuff for
Winnie the Pooh.
work.
Yeah.
Winnie the Pooh.
Talk about your games.
But anyway, when I was a kid, I played a lot of Warcraft 3 on my old, like, Toshiba laptop. And I also played a lot of Age of Empires. See, me and my close friend Aubrey were both pretty into Age of Empires 2 for a while.
Wow. You guys go back for the RTS train.
Oh, yeah, See, Aubrey and I have been playing games together since forever. You know, we used to play Smash Bros. A lot. We still do it whenever we get together, but he would play a lot of, like, Age of Empires 2, and I was pretty interested in it, and so I got it, and I started playing it a lot, too. And so, basically, what we would do is all day, we would just, sometimes together, but most of the time actually separately, we would just, like, play games against the computer, and they would just be like easy mode bots, and we'd just build up our own bases and then just like fight the easy mode bots, and I would just do this all day. I would always try to play the campaigns. They'd be really hard, and I'd just stop after 2 levels.
What were the campaigns like on World or Warcraft, whatever?
Yeah, see
Were they like fleshed out story-wise?
Yeah, like, and so I had played a lot of Age of Empires and mostly just done like exhibition fights. But then I went to some friends' houses that had Warcraft 3, And my mom didn't want me to play it for some reason. I think she was still trying to control the content that I was into.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that was a thing you did when you were younger.
What?
Like that your mom tried to stop you
I think she just thought the game was pretty violent. And I guess it is, because, I mean, but I don't know. I don't know what.
Does she do that with other stuff than games?
Maybe she didn't like what the
Not really. I think
characters were saying when you clicked on them.
It was
Well,
like a
and
really
also, like,
small...
parents back then all thought that, like, their children were going to be absorbed by the game completely. And there's, like, all these horror stories of, like,
I guess that's possible.
children's lives being...
I was
overcome.
able to play GoldenEye at one point, and then it was taken away like later, and then I got it back again later.
I think
it was very weird.
it was sort of a period of time when my mom maybe was thinking that about controlling my content a little more, but then kind of just stopped after a while. I don't know. I think it was mostly during my most impressionable, like, couple years.
Yeah.
So maybe it was probably a good idea. But anyway, so she didn't really want me to play Warcraft, but I just downloaded offline and played it anyway. And eventually I did just go, like, buy the battle chest, which just came with Warcraft 3 and then the expansion for like $20 at like a Fred Meyer. And so I would just like play the campaign all day, but I was really bad at it still because I was like, I don't know, I was like 10.
Yeah.
And that game is pretty tough. Like, you really do have to manage a lot of resources and like control pretty large like groups of, you know, you have to just be good at video games at all to be able to like play the Warcraft games. And so I would just like type in
God mode.
I would just turn on God mode and then just go ravage everybody using my hero.
So is everyone's experience with old RTSs that was everyone bad?
Yeah, of course.
I wasn't bad. I mean, I didn't play that hard of RTSs.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know. I don't really know how to judge my skill. I didn't play against the world. I didn't play
right.
there wasn't a scene like there is now where I could even know how good I was.
Yeah, that's
It's like I'm completely randomly playing with people or playing with my friends or just playing against
But
the computer.
retroactively, were you like doing okay against bots?
Yeah, I mean, I would pick the bots that I could beat. I would pick that level of bot.
Okay. Because
I mean, when I was young, I was really bad at it.
yeah.
But then, you know, I played through the game a bunch of times just against bots, and I would just do God mode. And then, like, through the story, just to, like, play through the story, which actually is pretty cool. Like, and then, you know, I would play exhibition games against bots, and I would usually win. Like, but then sometimes I would just, like, I'd always like to play the orcs because I thought the Tauren chieftains were cool looking. And so I would do like a cheat that gives me a bunch of money and a bunch of resources, build like the hero shrine, summon the Tauren chieftain hero, turn on God mode, delete all my things except for the Tauren chieftain, and then I would just use him to just go kill everything.
I like the point at which you turn on God mode. Like, why not just start from the beginning?
I mean, because nobody would ever come get me, so I didn't think about it until I was already using the Tauren chieftain.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I'm going to go wreck dudes now. And so I'd turn on God mode and just walk around, like, one-shotting buildings as this Tauren chieftain guy, and I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
And then I played that a lot. Eventually, I stopped doing the God mode stuff and, like, started actually playing the game. Like, I never really got into custom games, which is kind of surprising considering that I do play Dota 2, like, all the time now, which, you know, did start as a Warcraft 3 mod. And so, I don't know, if I would have been a little older when I got into Warcraft 3, I probably would have been playing Dota from a lot earlier.
Yeah.
And your life would be different.
I'd be good. I'd probably be a little better at the game.
You could be one of the boys.
You'd be in those championships you always talk about.
Yeah, I'd be a pro gamer. But no, and then RTSs have been sort of like I've been trying to recreate the feeling that I got from playing Warcraft 3 as a kid. Age of Empires as well. Age of Empires and Warcraft 3, I like every time a new really cool strategy game comes out, I like try to get into it as much as I got into Warcraft 3 and Age of Empires when I was a kid, but like they just don't seem to have the magic of those games, or maybe it's that like I realize how how bad I was like when I was a kid, and so now I want to like how much there is to the game that I didn't realize.
Yeah.
And so like
We like recently sort of did that when we all tried to play Sins of a Solar Empire.
Yeah.
And I
which
mean,
is like a
Hardcore.
super extreme,
That's
super
true.
in-depth space RTS.
Yeah.
yeah.
But I'll tell you, I felt pretty good when the first thing I figured out was because I couldn't figure out how to control the game.
Yeah,
but,
that was hard.
But going through the menus, the first thing I found out was there's this bounty thing in the game where I can send pirates to kill other people.
So
then
David's entire strategy
became
became
just raise
the bounty, use all of his money to raise the bounty as high as possible, get the pirates to attack the other players before they've built up enough of a base to protect themselves.
Yeah.
The pirates destroy the other players.
Yeah, which worked for like the first game we really tried, just because Sebastian just walked in.
Sebastian's there.
Speaking of bounties,
Welcome, Sebastian.
Star Wars Galaxies is an RTS.
Nope,
Really?
MMO.
that's an MMO.
MMO?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought I might have something to talk about. Never
Well,
mind.
so because my only recollection from playing RTSs as a kid was pretty much with StarCraft and a little bit of Rise of Nations. Wait, is that what this game? That game's
Yes,
called?
that's
Yeah.
called
Okay.
yeah.
But I remember like I had this friend down the street, and her older brother would always be playing like these Blizzard games, and I always thought they looked so cool. So he would be playing like Diablo 2 and StarCraft, and I would be like, "What is this? Like, it looks amazing." And so I finally like I got home and like because I'm a kid and don't have any money, like I didn't buy either of those games, but I was able to download the demo for StarCraft, and it came with 3 missions. And I remember like beating the first 2 missions like all right, but I think the third mission is like a real match or something. And my recollection of it was like cuz I didn't know how to play at all. So I just kept on making I think your limit for like people without making more resources or something, which I didn't know like how to do, was like 50 people or like 50 units. And so I would make 50 Marines, send them to the enemy base. They would die so fast. And I would do that over and over again, making the most slowly incremental process ever. And I remember the game taking like over 3 hours. And like, but in my, I don't know how old I was. It had to be really young. Like I had to be like 7 or 8. And I was just like, wow, this game's like just tough. And this game like, but it's just epic. Like this one level took 3.5 hours. The third level
This
of the
is a
demo.
really tough game. I don't know.
And like that was sort of the extent of like, I mean, so I had that experience, and then later I bought StarCraft in 8th or 9th grade because some of my friends were just like got back into it and were playing. And I remember being like, oh yeah, I had fun with that game when I was little. And we got into a multiplayer match, like the first multiplayer match I played with them, and they actually knew how to play. But like I made like a little base, and I had like 1 tank, and I was like, okay, I'm doing good, And then all of a sudden, like one of my friends Zerg rushes me, and
Is that his name?
What?
Your friend's name is Zerg?
No, Zerg
that's
is
Is that like a move, a combat move?
That's a race in StarCraft.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Toy Story.
the Zerg are in StarCraft, for Josh and anybody else who doesn't know. They're the sort of the main strat that you run with Zerg is you just build up a really weak, really big force, and then just
Like
throw
quick.
it. Yeah, and
Yeah.
really fast. And
You
then
rush them.
And then you just throw bodies at the base of
Yeah.
your enemy until they... And usually, like, the Terrans and the Protoss take a little while to build up, but then once they get big, they're, like, really unstoppable. But the Zerg take no time to come online, and so you just, like, face rush them,
Yeah.
and then they just, like, can't do anything, and then they lose. And it's like...
Yeah, and I had no idea that
Yeah.
was a thing, or like I couldn't believe how many units my friend had made in the short amount of time, and I had like one tank. And I just remember him hysterically laughing over Vent. He was like he couldn't believe how bad I was, or like how little I had done in the time I had.
Oh yeah.
And he was just like, he was shaming me, dude.
Is in StarCraft, is there always all 3 races in each game?
No.
Okay, so you can just
When
you play
when
like
you
a
play,
2-person
you can
game and
pick.
you just each pick a race.
yeah, and you can each pick the same one. You can do Terran
Okay.
versus Terran, or
Can you play 3 though
yeah.
in
Yeah.
one game? How many can it go up to?
8, right?
I don't know. It depends on the map. Like some of them are
Yeah,
really
it
big, and they have like you can have like 16 or whatever, But like most people, when you're playing like ladder, usually you just play 1v1. But then like there's a lot of like pretty common is like I like to do 2v2 in Warcraft or Age of Empires. Like I feel like that's the most fun because you have like your buddy, and then you have you and a friend and another friend on the other team, and so it's more fun to like be able to work with someone. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think part of the fun of RTSs back in the day, and really I kind of want to extend this cast more just away from not to extend, because really what I have nostalgia for is RTSs. Like I love Warcraft, but just like when I was really young and just the world of computer games,
Yeah.
because
They
console-
seemed much more adult.
yeah, like
Yeah.
console games when I was a kid were like Crash Bandicoot and
Right.
and like SNES games. Like console games had their look and their like stylized art style, and they just felt so contained and like very simple. But then I would watch like my cousin Rick, who is he's like quite a bit older than me. He has kids my age, and so like he I would watch him play like Diablo, like you said, and
Yeah.
Diablo just looked so much more complicated of a game.
Yeah.
And I would watch my older friends.
I just thought it looked so cool.
Yeah, like the art style, it didn't even because it has those games have a much less. All of the PC games from that era had like a much less developed art style,
Yeah.
but they just kind of had raw power, so they just looked cool.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. They're like the big boy games. Like,
Yeah.
when we were growing up.
Everybody's
and also
like,
like the camera angle, I was like, oh, this is like really strategic.
Yeah, strategic. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you
Totally.
just see
I
like
think that was a big part of it for little kids is like because little kids have no power
Uh-huh.
and they don't get to choose anything they do, and like it's this pretty complicated, or at least you think at the time that it's this pretty complicated thing. It's like I could run the world.
I could like build my own family and like build
Yeah,
a city.
I could
and,
run
like,
I could run an army.
yeah, and I mean like the idea of when I was younger, playing like console games, and when it got to like the Xbox 360 era, I was like playing a lot of single player games because I feel like, and of course like Gears of War and Halo 3, but then looming over all of that was like World of Warcraft, and that's like that
Yeah.
just seemed like such an adult game because like there's just so much to do. It was so
Yeah.
big.
It was also a game that you could only afford if you were
If you were an adult, yeah.
Exactly. I tried to get my parents to subscribe me to World of Warcraft for years. Like they
Yeah.
never would pay because I had like an allowance of like $20 a month, and I was like, just pay for World of Warcraft. That's 15. Like that. That's like that's what I want to.
I'm saving you money.
Yeah, exactly. I would say stuff like that. I just wanted to play WoW because it just looked cool, and a lot of it was because I played Warcraft so much.
Yeah.
And I was just
Yeah.
like, Warcraft 3 is a cool game for cool people. You know what I mean? You see somebody play StarCraft or Warcraft or even like or Star Wars Galaxies, or I liked Age of Mythology a lot. Like just any of these like sort of golden age of like PC gaming
Yeah.
for like from at least my perspective as a younger kid.
Yeah.
It just looked way too cool.
Your parents may have saved you by not allowing you to have World of Warcraft.
Yeah, that's possible. But I
Yeah.
mean,
Because as a little kid, I feel like even more prone to just go full obsessed.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah,
when
'cause-
you have time for an MMO.
Yeah.
Oh man, I mean,
mean-
like, have we all had some experience with like getting into an MMO?
A little bit. I
course.
kind of think we should just do a podcast on MMOs.
Yeah, we
probably.
will. Because
That's
I mean,
that's a
I
good
have
future topic.
thousands of hours of RuneScape to talk about.
Ooh, me too. I want to
Yeah,
talk about
we'll have to
RuneScape.
talk about
Maple
that
Story.
at another time.
Such a bad one. But I still love the art style in that game.
Yeah,
I wish
but
that game was
mean,
actually good.
Maple Story? That's a game?
Yeah.
It's about syrup.
No.
It's you are like part
Well,
of.
Did you
you're
like how I was about
running
to defend Maple Story? No, it's not.
You're
No, it's not
running a
about Maple
syrup.
Story.
You're running a syrup company, and everybody else in the world is also running one, and you're just like battling out to be the top Mrs. Buttersworth.
Yeah, but it's Maple Story, so it's really narrative driven. That's the difference between Maple Story and Warcraft. is,
But, like,
there's
Maple
actual-
Story and Syrup Tycoon.
Yeah, but yeah. So I mean, just when I was a kid, those games just look cool. Like these
Yeah,
PC games,
totally.
especially like RTSs, because they were what everybody was playing, and
Yeah.
so like. I don't know. They just had this sort of thing that just made them seem adult. And when I was playing Warcraft, I thought I was playing like a real adult game, even though I was playing it in God mode as the Tauren chieftain. That was it.
Yeah.
Something that only a kid would do.
But
Yeah, and I mean, I guess that part of that explains a lot of like why I do enjoy Dota so much is because, I mean, Dota is you're the chieftain, you're the Tauren chieftain,
Right.
you know, or you're the blade master, or you know, you're just the one hero from Warcraft that I thought was like,
Yeah.
I don't care about the peons, and I don't care about the siege tanks or the ghouls, or I don't give a shit about my necropolis. I want to be Arthas, you know? I want to walk around and blast people
yeah.
with my mortal coil, you know? That's what I want to do. You
It
build.
sounded almost poetic, dude.
I want
That was beautiful.
I want to blast
So
people with
beautiful.
my mortal coil.
I was gonna say maybe should we just talk about like it's kind of far into it, but I was gonna say we could just like explain what an RTS is.
Well, I like the way that you had it structured where each person was just kind of saying their experience with it and
Oh,
why
yeah.
it's nostalgic to them. Like, we got that with Keenan. We should get one with David and you.
Yeah. I mean, I sort of explained
Yeah.
Yeah.
the extent of mine, but one way we could. I also want to talk about this is our experiences with that genre now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I do. I want to talk about that a lot because
But Josh, you haven't really gotten into your
tell us
nostalgia
about your
hole.
Age of Empires career.
I played Red Alert the most out of any game.
Yeah.
Those
I
games
was
are
really
great
into
too, though.
Command and Conquer games.
See, I'm telling you, that is definitely the golden age of RTSs.
yeah.
Warcraft, StarCraft, Command and Conquer, Age of Empires, all
Yeah.
gold
Rise of
standard
Nations.
classics. Rise of Nations.
I just remembered that the Command and Conquer games and Red Alert had live action cutscenes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're
I was just
awesome.
going to say, yeah.
And that was like part of the crazy
Yeah.
vibe of that game.
Yeah.
Like the acting in them was totally over the top.
Yeah, there's some big name
And
actors in it though,
wacky.
right?
I don't remember who
I-
any of them were.
I remember last time I looked at it, I was like, "Wow, that's." I can't remember who it was.
I do remember. I saw something on YouTube and it was somebody kind of semi-famous.
Was it Gus from Breaking Bad? That's what I want to see. I saw, but I don't
I
remember.
don't know. But yeah, I mean, Red Alert is just like a military strategy game. It's a little bit futuristic, I think. Although I might be combining because I had all of the like expansion packs for Red
Yeah.
Alert as well.
Does it
And
have
they-
sort of like a Red Scare bent or something?
I don't remember.
Because I thought that was the whole thing with the Red Alert was like
It might
the
be
communist like
a
I think it
imagery
is,
and
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, I think it is.
It's like space communists, right?
Mostly I remember as a child there was one unit that I've never seen in any other game. It was called a Tanya, which was just the girl's name. But you could
Okay.
make 100 of her if you wanted to. They all looked the same, dressed exactly the same. It was this girl with a desert eagle, and she was just like the most ridiculous, like she has a voice like that says stuff when you like order her around, but like all she really says is like, you like order her to like walk over here, and she's like, ha ha.
Oh,
And-
that is a major thing with RTSs is the unit sounds. When you click on
Yeah,
it.
totally. Actually, when I was like making movies when I was like in middle school,
Uh-huh.
I like went into the source files of Age of Empire and found all of the like isolated narrative or like isolated dialogue from the characters in Age of Empires, and I like put it into a bunch of like weird movies that I was making.
That
And,
is awesome.
What were some
Yeah.
of the quotes?
there's one that was like, Gustav ate my cattle and like jumped my barbagold or something. I don't know.
And then there's one that goes, I'm scouting.
There's that one unit that goes
Blizzard
like,
has the
"Whoa," or something like that. Those guys are cool. Those guys are like the classic when you think of Age of Empires 2 responses. They're those like weird shouting guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Totally.
so I played an hour of Age of Empires 2 today. It was the first time I ever played it, and I think that is a better RTS to get into when you're little because the tutorial is good.
Really?
Like,
Yeah, totally.
yeah, like it sets up this whole story, and it's sort of like with the narrator and everything. He sort of like, talks to you like you're young.
Yeah.
I think Age of Empires was probably a better starting point for RTSs than.
Sins of a Solar Empire.
Yes. Definitely
I mean,
like him.
I think a pretty common like stepping stone was like Age of Empires, because those Age of Empires games were pretty, were a little older, and then you graduate to Warcraft, and those games are a little more involved.
I never
Yeah.
quite graduated. I still.
Yeah, I never graduated either.
I mean, it's just for like serious RTS
yeah,
players,
totally.
because
Yeah.
I mean those games like more than any other like PC games like had the community required to have like high skilled communities, and so it would be like if you were good at an RTS, you better be playing StarCraft
Yeah.
or Warcraft 3, because those are like the big boy ones
Yeah.
that like you want to see how good you are.
Yeah.
But I mean, they also had like the most. I feel like Warcraft specifically, because I never really got into StarCraft 1. It had like the most lore and story out of like an RTS. Like every mission there is like a lot of dialogue at the beginning. You get about halfway through, there's a lot of dialogue, and then you finish the mission, and like at the beginning and end of every campaign, there's like a CGI cutscene that is like really good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, StarCraft did the same thing.
Yeah,
And then,
StarCraft
like,
does that
and in
too.
between like missions, you got like this awesome briefing, like with this whole like control room with like all these screens.
Yeah, and you can that happens in StarCraft 2 as well.
Yeah, and I loved that when I was little. Like I just thought that was so cool.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just really goes down to like the Blizzard production value.
Yeah,
like,
totally. Also, Blizz, like when it comes to unit sounds, like you can't beat Blizzards.
Oh yeah, I mean
to this day.
Actually, I
love
think the some of the close like the people because it's based on a Warcraft 3 mod, the Dota 2 responses are top notch.
Uh-huh.
Like there's one where if you're this character Bat Rider, he's just a dude who rides a bat around and
No.
and
Oh,
so
cool.
if you as Bat Rider kill this character named Faceless Void, who is like he like controls time, that's like his thing.
Mm-hmm.
So if Bat Rider kills Faceless Void, sometimes he'll say, Void, have you seen Bat to the Future? And that's like what and then and I heard
I
that
like
one
that.
recently. And that's like a rare response.
Yeah.
And I've been playing Dota for hundreds of hours. and
Rare
never heard that one
response.
before.
That's cool.
It has happened like I've heard it one time, and it was very cool. I mean, it's like when you put in as much effort as like Blizzard does with their unit responses,
Yeah.
they stick in your head because like
They're
even
all so memorable sounding.
yeah, even like I know Josh was not into that when he was playing Hearthstone,
It was just shocking.
but they're very memorable. Like
yeah.
every time, even in Hearthstone, you put out the Void Walker, and he goes, you called, that's cool. And like,
and in for me, StarCraft still has my favorites, like with the fire bats, like need a light.
oh yeah,
And,
yeah.
Like the fire bats are pretty much just like Snake or something.
Yeah, I
from
was
out
gonna
here.
say that sounds like MGS.
Yeah, and I mean it is a little bit probably a reference.
Yeah.
because
That
And then you
makes
have
sense.
like the vultures who are sort of like biker gang people, and they have this really like punk like voice, and they're like, "What do you want?" "Yeah, I'm going."
I mean I think
They all
the
just
all-time
have like good characters, like-
Personalities,
Yeah.
characteristics.
But I
yeah.
mean,
it's
like,
really cool.
the all-time best is probably like the orc peon, dude. Every time in Warcraft 3 you tell them to go somewhere and they go, "I'll do it."
Uh-huh.
You tell them walk over here, they go, "Okay." And you tell them to go over here and they go, "Zug zug." Zug zug is so classic.
That is true. I guess it's just because I like didn't
Yeah,
play
I
that as
know.
much, but
There, I mean, and like when you click a sheep 20 times, they blow up. Like, there's just like, it's just the kind of thing that like, I am more nostalgic from just the feeling of
Yeah.
RTSs
Yeah.
than
too.
actually playing
Yeah.
them because
Yeah,
I was
I
really
definitely
bad.
agree.
RTSs are hard games. Every time
Yeah.
I go back to play the Warcraft 3 campaign, it's really hard. Like, I've replayed it a couple times, but every time it's like, there are missions where I actually lose. And there are like no single player games where I ever actually lose missions.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
I mean, single player games now have kind of gotten to the point where they want to make sure you don't really lose, usually.
Yeah.
there's usually parameters you can set where like it's not going to be a problem.
Yeah, but I mean, and especially if you can lose, you go back to a checkpoint or the mission is not that long typically.
Mm-hmm.
I recently played a mission of Warcraft 3. It was the last mission of the human campaign. It was like 2 hours. It was so, and I thought I was doing pretty good, but like, I just had so many units. I had like 7 control groups.
Uh-huh.
I had like my melee dudes, and then I had like my sniper guys, and I had my siege tanks, and I had my gyrocopters, and I had my zeppelins. Like, I had a control group for each zeppelin, and like, it just took like the control of my force. I would have to like take like 5 minutes to go like, all right, wait, how do I like get them across this river?
Yeah.
Because and like, that was really hard. But I mean, the story is goofy, but it's satisfying to play, and I think a lot of that is the nostalgia of like
Yeah.
Warcraft and just games when I was a kid that just seemed cool.
Yeah.
And like, usually when you see something as a kid and it seems really cool, it usually probably isn't that good. And so going back to playing Warcraft and it actually being good. Same thing with Age of Empires 2. That game is still good. Going back to playing those games and having
Yeah, I
them
sort of
still
wanna-
be good
Yeah.
is like very I'm not sure like,
Vindicating.
yeah, vindicate. It makes me feel good because
Because so
When I was a
much
kid-
of people's childhood is just filled with crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like you look back on it like, wow, that was terrible. I
Yeah.
never liked that.
yeah, but I mean, I guess probably because they were aimed at an older audience.
Yeah.
But just because they looked cool to us, we got into them when we were younger.
Yeah.
They actually can be gone back to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although Age of Mythology, I bought that right when it came out on Steam, like the re-release. Not that good.
Really?
It's
Dang
just-
it, dude!
it's
I
just-
bought that because of you.
I mean, it's good. It's just a worse Age of Empires because
Uh-huh.
it's older than Age of Empires 2, I
Yeah.
think. And so like it just controls. It is fun though. It is. I mean, you can get like hydras, and you just like have a hydra walking around.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
worth it, I think.
So yeah, one thing I'll say about like RTSs now is I still really like the idea of them.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, yeah, real time strategy, and like I like, I still the aesthetics of it, like with the camera angle and like controlling units like that, are all still really appealing to me. I just, I maybe it's just like I need to actually devote time to learning how to optimize my time. But I
Oh, yeah.
always feel like I'm spending my time in the wrong ways. Always.
Totally, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you do have to... I recently... Because I've been trying to get into StarCraft 2, the campaign, but from what I've always heard, the campaign in StarCraft 2 is not that great, and, like, it is a little slow, and I kind of just want to get into the action of it. I want to play multiplayer on StarCraft. I know it's a little late. Game's kind of dead at this point, but I do still want to play multiplayer StarCraft because it seems really fun. And so I watched a video because, you know, everybody always talks about APM in StarCraft, which means actions per minute.
Yeah.
And, like, good StarCraft players have really high APM. And so I watched this, I just Googled, like, StarCraft, or no, I went on YouTube and searched StarCraft APM, and it was, like, classic, like, guy who isn't into pro gaming but, like, knows the buzzwords. It was, like, StarCraft 2 Korean 300 APM or something. And so I watched it, and it's just this, like, Korean dude playing StarCraft, and he's just, like, flying on his keyboard. He's like...
Yeah, because they, like, it's all hotkey based, and, like, it's just, like, not the way
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That totally makes sense.
And just watching him, like, start from nothing, and he just, you know, he just starts up, and he's, like, pressing 1 and 2 a lot to kind of warm his hands up, but he's just, like, spawn a unit, like,
Yeah.
spawn a unit, rally point it here, spawn a unit, rally point it here, like, immediately, like, shift Q to have it immediately build, like, 70 supply depots, have this guy build a barracks, and then have the barracks, like, auto build, like, a bunch of Marines and stuff.
Yeah.
The speed at which this guy was playing this game, I was like, I can't even, like, think that quick.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's why, like, I can barely, when I'm playing Dota, I can't play heroes that require more than, like, control of, like, myself, and then some guys that don't matter if they die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, I can do that, but, like, it's hard. It's hard for me to, like, think, like, I have to have this guy do this and immediately have this guy do this. And then so, like, trying to get into StarCraft is just so scary because I don't know if I have, like, the mind division that's required
Totally.
to, like, have a...
Seriously.
Well, like
do
you
that.
were saying that, like, you always feel like you're spending your time in the wrong places.
Yeah.
Like, that's totally why I stopped playing Age of Empires. I feel like the most exciting part is when you have, like, your military built and you
Yes.
have, like, so many different things going on
Yeah.
all the time, and you're like, this is my empire. Like, this is
Yeah.
everything. But it just takes me so long to get to that point. Like, it's like... It takes me 2 hours to get to that like
Yeah.
excitement level
Well,
that I'm not
yeah.
willing
Yeah,
to put
so,
that time down.
so like at the end of the tutorial that I played today, like it has you play like this, you know, really easy fake match.
yeah.
And like, you know, I was doing what it was telling me and everything, but like, you know, there's a button that is like find idle villager, like for villagers that aren't doing anything.
Yeah.
And I know I'm bad because my queue for idle villagers was always like so high. Like
Yeah,
I would always just forget that like
Totally.
someone's done with something and that they should
Yeah,
be doing
yeah.
something, and then I'm like, oh man, and then like
I wasted all this productivity.
Yeah.
and then sometimes like okay, where was it going?
Well, because you're just doing like one thing at a time. You're thinking
Yeah.
about like
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna move to this next thing. But like what you need to do is be
a
like
huge
anticipating
Yeah.
and
a
like
huge part of RTSs is multitasking,
Yeah.
and that like is very hard for me. Like in that context of games, especially when like you're supposed to have like some people exploring, and then you have to like hop back to your base and then keep on like
Yeah.
because like the other thing is you have to keep on hopping back to like the people that are exploring, or else like they're gonna get to the enemy base and die, and you're
Just
you're
die.
not gonna see it happen.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally. And then it's like, oh, I thought they're out there exploring, like gathering gold, but
Yeah.
actually they've been dead for the last 45
Yeah,
minutes or something.
Yeah, and even in like, so this is like sort of sad, but like I did win the tutorial match, but
Nice.
so the enemy like did come to my base with just like 3 soldiers, and I just like didn't have soldiers yet or something, and the
I
game was
forgot
like,
to build soldiers.
And they just, like, ravage your base.
well, yeah, and like it was a totally manageable amount of units that I should have been able to take care of, but like the game was like, make sure to ring the town bell to call all the citizens back, and I was like, oh man. And so I did that, and then the enemies are just attacking, and I quickly like click on my barracks and make like 4 guys,
Yeah.
and then
by the time they're ready to go, like your bases have already been like destroyed.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't that bad, but it was like, it was just so embarrassing just because I knew like I had so many villagers and no soldiers.
Yeah, totally.
And that's what you got to do. I mean, you just have to like I've been working on that partially because I do want to get better at like micromanaging aspect of Dota, and so I'm like playing RTSs to like work that skill up. But you like, I've recently discovered Shift Q, which most RTSs have. That's your golden ticket. What you do is if you want a guy to build, you're building, let's say you're building houses because you need to, or farms, because you need more resources. You hold down Shift, and then usually build is B, and then maybe farm is F. So hold down Shift, hit B, then hit F, and then click where you want them, and then that guy's gonna make a bunch of farms. That's how you play RTSs.
Yeah.
And that is so hard because you tell one guy, you shift key one guy.
Oh,
but
like assigning those tasks to specific people
in a checklist, yeah. And so he does this, check, next thing. But a good player is supposed to do that to like 50 dudes.
Yeah,
have them all on.
And also have like perfect space management, which is also very hard for me in those kind of games where I'm like, I sort of don't want to go off into these other areas where like, because in the tutorial, like there was this, this circle of land where I was like, okay, this is going to be where my base is. And then like it split off into paths, and I didn't want to like start making things in the paths. I just wanted everything to be in the circle, but I had like too many houses.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, it just became like so cluttered and like.
You want your base to look really nice and tidy.
Well, and you want to be able to put a fence around it without like having the fence take like longer than your entire thing like took.
Totally. And that is I recently actually read a guide on how to be good at StarCraft. That is one thing that I always do in every RTS, and the guide said not to do, is build a wall. Like, just spend all of your resources building successive walls.
That's what I would do when I'd play Age of Empires.
I mean, one time I think beat Aubrey by like building seriously nothing but like 7 walls around my like just wall after wall. And I think the Fog of War didn't really reveal too much. It'd be the kind of thing you break down a wall and you're like, shit, there's another wall. And you keep doing that until how many walls are there? And then you eventually, they throw enough bodies at you that you have had enough time to build up a real force, and then you leave and kill them. But the issue is, once you have turtled up and you go try to kill them, instead of building walls, they've built guys with guns. And so you show up and they just blast you down. Yeah. And then you just and those games take hours, and that's not fun for anybody.
Yeah.
I know that for me, a big appeal of RTSs was that they were like very, very early, like actually internet connected games.
Yeah.
Like, I know that it was probably the first online game I saw was definitely an RTS. My dad like played some FPS game, but he definitely played more RTSs, and it makes sense that kind of thing would run better than something that's like you're literally doing like live action with people. Like, I can't even imagine how that even ran on dial-up. Like the way things. Like, I remember my dad trying to coordinate playing games with his friends, and it was such an ordeal because you have to talk to the person.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that you can't talk to them on the phone when you're on the internet. Right. So you're like playing this game of like, oh, it didn't connect. Okay, I'm going to try again. Yeah. Okay, didn't connect. Okay, I'm going to try again. Yeah. All right. Okay, I'm going to try calling it. Okay, it's busy. He's still online.
Jeez,
it's like such a horrible runaround.
It can already be a nightmare playing multiplayer games today.
Now, yeah.
I mean, it's interesting, like, because that was how... I didn't play any online games at all, just because it was hard to get people to play, even if it was like you were both ready and you wanted to. It was hard to get it to work.
Yeah.
And then I mean, Blizzard games really revolutionized that with Battle.net. Like, Battle.net actually
true.
works.
Yeah.
That was lobbies and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, it was the first, like, it was, you know, you had an account.
Yeah.
And anytime you played a Blizzard
Yeah.
game, you would, like, log into Battle.net.
Nice.
And so your friends could see, and there was, like, chat, you know, it's just...
I
yeah.
mean, the true testament to how good Battle.net was is it's still around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's still around. Like, there are still Warcraft 3 Dota lobbies.
Yeah.
And there are still Warcraft 3, I'm trying to think of, like, Run Kitty Run. You know, like, an obscure, dumb Warcraft 3 custom games, you can still play that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially, like, there's been recent campaigns by the company that distributes Dota 2 in China to get people to play Dota 2 to stop playing Dota 1 because Battle.net is so popular, and it's just amazing, like the way that we take like Steam for granted. You know, like, I mean, I guess I don't take Steam for granted too much, because when I try to play a game like an Origin game, Origin isn't as good, and like you play like
Yeah, Origin's horrible.
yeah, I mean, it's just, you just have like, you take the things for granted that like Blizzard and Valve are doing, like, that make things so easy to play online with
Yeah.
people.
Totally.
And like, it's funny because RTSs really are, to most people, very multiplayer games, but to most of us they're very single player games.
Totally.
Yeah,
Because
totally.
of how bad the internet was, and I guess
Yeah.
part of it was how young we were.
Yeah.
That like,
Well,
you know,
and
I
it's
wasn't.
like we were just talking about, like, there wasn't, like, a lobby system, I don't think, on any of those games.
Yeah.
Like, at least not on the ones that I played.
Yeah,
On
you'd have to,
Red
like,
Alert,
join a
there wasn't.
server.
Yeah, it was a more complicated thing to try to deal with.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I think Warcraft 3 and StarCraft both had a ladder system, so they had official, like, matchmaking, but, like, most games didn't. You would have to just, like, find somebody's... If you wanted to play with your friend, you'd have to, like, type in his IP
Yeah.
and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
Totally.
And it's...
Age of
It's-
Empires was really good about LAN, though. Actually,
Yeah,
there's a
LAN
really
works really well.
straightforward LAN system.
Yeah, LAN's definitely easier.
Yeah.
And, I mean, just when you think of, like, LAN parties, you think of, like, RTSs. Like, everybody gets
Yeah.
together and plays Age
Oh
of
my
Empires.
god, that's like all my favorite video game memories. Like, and this is only from like 2 or 3 years ago,
Yeah.
actually. But like, it's just getting together with like my high school friends and playing Age of Empire.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
it's
that,
just-
that game is so accessible.
Yeah,
Yes.
and like, there's just something about like having a bunch of people in a room playing that kind of a game.
Yeah.
Like together, and everybody's like, "Oh man, like my base is gonna be crazy when you come over here and see it.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
oh, this is going so good."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I felt like we sort of had that experience with Sins of Solar Empire.
That game is
But-
so hard, though.
But yeah, but the other thing was, the other, like, when I would want to quit was when there would be, you know, a big attack from someone, and it would happen, and the other person would fend it off, and then
And
there's
you would rage quit.
well, no, and
Yes.
then there's
Rage quit.
and
That's
then
a
there's
good term for what
period-
David does all the time in Smash Bros.
He does.
I don't know what you're talking about in that game. I won that game.
In Smash Bros.
20 KO.
Yeah,
Yeah,
20
but like
kills,
if we
dude.
start like a
20
time,
kills, never forget.
we start like a timed match and not a stock match. Like instead of just playing it, it's just like bam, 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 and like the game's restarted already.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Either Dave wins or he
Items
gets
are on.
fucking mad and turns the game off. But anyway,
So, okay. Anyways, but with Sins of a Solar Empire, like a big attack would happen, and then there would be this period of rebuilding where the other person would have to rebuild their offensive force, and the other person would just have to be rebuilding their base. Just be this long stagnation, and I was like, I'm tired. I mean, like it got to the point where
It's a time thing too. It's
It
just
is.
those games take a lot of time, and
Yeah.
whenever we all play a game together, it's kind of rare that we have like a 3-hour time to
Yeah.
set aside
Yeah.
and really want to dedicate.
Yeah,
because we just get tired or we
Yeah.
have other things we want to do. And
I mean, when we were first talking about Sins of a Solar Empire, the idea of having a multiple day game was
we
really
should try
exciting.
to do that.
Yeah, you have
We
to
still
plan
haven't-
like a game day. Like it has
Well,
to be like
but what we were saying, that game allows you to play a
Yeah,
match
you-
over
you-
like
you-
multiple days.
You
Oh,
can
wow.
save the
pause
state.
match.
You can save the state of the match and
Oh
then
my
come back
God.
to it later.
that's so cool.
Yeah, but like it was just
You can do that on Warcraft and Age of Empires as well, I think.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We should play Age of Empires. Just
I
Yeah,
was
because.
that's
so
definitely
into that.
simpler.
I was
Age of
so into
Empires
that.
and Warcraft are both much more
Yeah.
easy to get into than Sins of Solar. Sins of Solar Empire is a weird game.
It is. There's so many races and so many like different.
It's so
factions and-
racist.
But if we play Age of Empires, nobody's allowed to play Aztecs except for me, because the Aztecs. I don't know if you.
I'm gonna
viewers
get
know,
destroyed. I didn't
Aztecs.
know. Like,
The Aztecs are messed up, dude. Those guys are good.
I play as the Vikings.
The Vikings are good. They have the best boats by far. Like
Best look too.
they have the best look as well. I mean, dude, the Aztecs have like those cool ziggurats, like the step pyramids.
Oh yeah.
Those guys are cool. Aztecs are cool.
But yeah, I think like the sort of aesthetic experience of playing an RTS, I feel like I ended up shifting that to like turn-based strategy games, especially like with Advanced Wars, which I didn't play very much of, but I was a big, and we won't get into this too much just because I think this could be its own thing. But like nowadays, I'm sort of off the wanting to really play an RTS. I still am interested and like sort of want to dip my foot in a little bit more. But like the games that I already know I'm into and like really like to play still are turn-based strategy games. Specifically,
I love XCOM and Advance Wars. They're both really great.
yeah, I really need to get into XCOM just because I know that game will be right up my alley.
Yeah.
But every single Fire Emblem that has been released in the States, except for the one on the Wii, I've like devoured. Like I love that series so much, and like it's the sort of like it's the feeling I wanted from RTSs like all this time, but just like in a format that worked for me.
Yeah.
But we can get into that a different time. So
Did you guys play Evil Genius?
That game
What
is
is
fun.
that?
That's a base building game.
It was fun.
That game is good.
You're an evil genius.
You just build up an evil genius base. That game is fun. Definitely recommend to all the viewers. Listen.
when did that game come out?
It was probably 2003.
Yeah, it's pretty old. Man, that's it's funny that game came out the same year as Frozen Throne. That game's good. That's what I'm talking about. That era of that type of of just real time strategy computer games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Best era.
Did you guys play The Sims?
No.
That's my favorite RTS.
I've never played like
The
SimCity
Sims and
or-
RTS?
I always battled.
Not really.
I always battled
it's-
the other sim houses.
I always
You're playing them like an
I always
RTS.
lock my sim in a room and then put a bunch of carpets in and have him light the fireplace.
Yeah.
That's always fun. And then the Grim Reaper can't get in. So he just shrugs and leaves. that's
Is Roller Coaster Tycoon an RTS?
It's not, but that was something I was
I feel-
thinking
yeah, I
about the
feel
whole
like it's
time is that like
sort of
RTSs are basically tycoon games that are taking up another level, adding multiplayer, like adding
Yeah,
a
you fight in like-
competition.
And
It's like-
usually are like
and-
military or like
Yeah.
battle.
yeah.
It's like if you could take the park goers from Roller Coaster Tycoon and have them fight the other parks.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be fun.
Or taking the animals in
Yeah.
Zoo Tycoon and having them
There you go.
fight another zoo.
It would be fun to
That would be
make
good.
a competitive tycoon game if this doesn't already exist, where you're not really interacting with each other that much. You're just trying to make the better business. Maybe you
Well-
can do some things to sabotage and
Well, that-
interact with the other person.
That economic game that they've been talking about on Idle Thumbs.
That sounded
sort of
kind of
sounds
like that. You don't remember what it was called?
I don't, do you?
No, this makes for good podcast.
Check out Idle Thumbs.
Check out the economic strategy game.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what it is. Try Googling that.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you were saying that your RTS itch is now scratched by turn-based strategies.
Yeah.
I guess mine has. I still every once in a while do go back to Warcraft, but I feel like I played Dota, and that's an RTS without the micro management, and so that's fun. Although since Source 2 was announced, and
3.
since Source 2 was announced, and the Dota 2 custom game client is actually like a Source 2 thing. Like they're making a Dota 2 custom game client that is supposed to be on the level of the Warcraft 3 one. And so there's a group of people currently remaking Warcraft 3 in the Dota 2 engine.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be my new RTS.
That seems cool.
Dota 3 or Dota 2 3 or whatever it is. Warcraft 3 2 remake.
The playstyle of Age of Empires brought a lot of my friends close to me in a way that just us talking wouldn't have, because we didn't have a lot in common. But at the time,
and
we
that
were
is
all,
an important part of youth.
Yeah, totally.
You do stuff with your friends because you don't actually have that much in common
and it's
with
just
them.
something to like get inspired about and like to talk to your friends at school about. And,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
that was a really, really cool thing, and I didn't get into it when I was super young, but when I was into it, I had a blast.
Totally.
That's why I love RTSs. Thank you and good night.
Swag on.
Thank you. We'll be back next week.
Love.